Hello everyone out there on YouTube. This is Jordan White, also sometime known in the hacking circle as Side Pocket. Once again, sorry for my disheveled look. I'm going to get my shaving together eventually. But I wanted to do another one of these videos just because, and I want to apologize in advance. I know she's gotten a lot of flack for this, and I do not honestly want to add more to her attention than what she already is. She wants to be left alone, but I really feel that what I'm going to say really needs to be said. There was an incident with a woman named Laura Dale. She's a transgendered male to female, and she apparently is also a reporter in the video game industry. And according to various sources, I'm not going to go into details, but Microsoft was doing a promotion event at a European expo, and they had a comedian there. I forget his name right now, and I'm honestly not going to bother to look it up. And she was apparently invited onto the stage, and he had one flub about identifying her gender, and it apparently escalated into this whole thing where he apparently was a repeat offender, where the quote from Laura is that he used the word it and them to describe her, and was also asking for if there was any women on real women, quote unquote, who would come up on the stage. Now, I'm not here to say if he was if she was wrong or right, or he was wrong or right per se. My video here is more about that as someone who has interacted with both Microsoft and recently Nintendo in the past, and who has done PR stuff. And it was also once a stand-up comedian for about 2 years. I wanted to talk about how overall this is a giant marketing blunder that could have easily been corrected if essentially the marketers were not stupid. And this is going on, let's just say Laura was 100% wrong and was making this up. We're just putting that out there, right? This is why this is a PR blunder, because PR is not about whether you're right or wrong. It's about doing doing something so that it doesn't screw up, and B, that if it screws up, since you were the one who put it out there, no matter what level of confusion, it is eventually going to end up being your fault, because if you were more clear or direct or things like that, they wouldn't have caused this problem in the first place. So, for example, you're going to hear me reference Nintendo a lot. Nintendo, from my experience, rarely has these problems because they know a PR sacred cow, which is, if you find someone and you can't identify like their race or their gender, or even regardless, even if you can, you should never, ever, ever refer to those things. It's the same things of what they said, that when you have a dinner, you don't bring up politics, religion, things like that. You just don't go there. So, like, rarely you actually hear Nintendo refer to him or her or he or she or things like that, probably because this is also a direct descendant of that in Japan. There really is no he or she. They refer directly to people's names, and that's what Nintendo does. If they wanted to refer to Laura, they would call her Laura instead of saying her. Laura here is this, and Laura here. Or if they want a generalization, they'll say our fans, or Nintendo fans, or even better, this gamer. Because despite all the labels we can all have, whether we're Republican or Democrat or male or female or black or white or Hispanic or Asian, if you play video games, we are all gamers. There's no derogatory term to the word gamer yet. So that would be a smart move to do. So essentially, if the comedian, also my experience as a comedian and a host, could not identify or was any way confused, should have just changed the subject, pick out something else to be funny, you know, just some sort of aside or whatever. And on that note, let's say that the comedian did say he, and then she said, I'm actually a girl. Instead of ignoring and continuing it or whatever, my experience is that you first apologize, and then you do a misdirection by essentially making fun of yourself and your stupidity, because that's really the topic at hand. So, like, if it was my situation, it would have been like, what is your name, sir? And she goes, I'm a female, actually. I would have been like, oh crap, I'm sorry. No, I'm serious. I didn't mean that, because, like, it's not comparable to you, but I have something kind of similar where I am half black and half Polish. See, there's already people chuckling out there already. And so no one ever saw me as just Jordan or like the mixed kid or whatever. When I was a kid, I was Asian. And then when I was growing up, I was Latino. And then ever since 9/11, I have a nickname at every airport, and it's called Random Bag Check. See? What that does is that puts everything on me. It turns me into the joke. It deflects off of the mistake while still making it funny, and we continue on with the subject. And since now you know, you can use more generalized terms such as this gamer or this fan has been here, and you continue on with the spark. My real problem wasn't really the comedian, because you can make mistakes like that. My problem is actually the way Microsoft handled it. The fact that, unlike what I've seen with Nintendo, that there wasn't a Microsoft representative running out there when even anything remotely like this was sounded, and stopped it there, knocked him off, put a different rep, and apologized personally to her and the audience afterwards, like immediately afterwards that this happened, shocks me, which tells me they were completely clueless. And whether there were a higher third party or an internal, there should have been someone from Microsoft's own internal staff, in the same way Nintendo always sends Nintendo representatives to oversee things and make sure things go right and are accountable for. So this is really a Microsoft blunder. Whether it was Microsoft in the wrong, and also since they paid this guy, and he's there, and the branding's everywhere, if you put someone on the stage and is like, here's our brand, here's this person who's going to talk about your brand, they're representing you, whether you want them to or not. If you have them on the stage with your brand, they're talking, and that person's talking about your brand, they are representing you at that point, especially if you've paid them to. And this comedian was on Microsoft's payroll for a while now and has done these events before. So he's essentially a representative to Microsoft, even if he's not an internal employee. And this is a problem, because and the other issue that I know I'm getting scatterbrained here that I want to bring up is that this would be a lot better if Microsoft just came out immediately and addressed the thing and apologized, like, as soon as possible after the lawyers look through it. Because the more you sit on your hands, the more people make up their own mind of what the hell happens, and you don't ever want that. You want an immediate response, because if you have an immediate response, then people are like, oh, well, there was no guilt involved, like this happened. But when you just sit there and wait, people start going, wait a minute, why are they being slow? Why do they have to research if everything was so clear-cut? So this is just a PR nightmare, and in essence, what Microsoft really should do is apologize in public and not work with that PR firm and that comedian who did this ever again, so they can be completely dissociated with it. It happens all the time in the industry, and what's really bad about this is that Microsoft has been having tons and tons of PR problems. So let's say I'm an investor for Microsoft. Between this recent incident, even though they've had a great LGBT record, you also have to look at that they've said amazing things like no one lives on a submarine and pissed off everyone in the military, and there's a console that doesn't have DRM, that's the Xbox 360, and Major Nelson pulling the microphone out of Angry Joe's hand and saying that you can't get rid of the DRM, and then they get rid of it 4 days later. And the whole 180 change tells me that Microsoft's left hand does not know what the right hand's doing and vice versa. And this is, if these visual signs are happening at such a basic PR level, it's usually a good hint that there's internal problems that are as bad, if not worse. So this is something Microsoft really needs to be cracking down on, and I think it would help everyone if we all got PR lessons and knew how to address people properly. And that's really where I think the game industry as a whole is going to have to grow up on that and be more aware of that, because everyone games now. Everyone games. Old people game, young people game, black, whites, male, female, androgynous people, you know, all sorts of people game now. So we need to learn that instead of these labels, everyone's a gamer. And that's really all I have to say. So just as someone who's done with marketing and stuff, you know, that's just my opinion on things. So I hope that sort of like is a weird info dump for you all. I'm sure no one's not going to really care about this video. And for Laura, I'm really glad you actually did come out publicly with this, because if you haven't, there would have been a future incident with some other company that would have had the same things, and we would have to deal with it one way or another. So whether or not this is all true or not, I am glad that you did bring up this issue, and I hope that you can, you know, continue your life as is. And I'm sorry if I contributed any sort of more accidental publicity because of this. I just really wanted to inform people because I feel like this really needs to be said. Anyhow, that's all for today. Peace.